And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com. You know the deal. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Go to the app. They will deliver right to your house pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop, or get down to Dayton, Kentucky, Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner, and they will get you taken care of. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15%. Well, Aaron, we didn't have a show last night because there wasn't a lot of meat on the bone, and we don't want to do these just to do them. We want to do them when we have stuff to talk about. Now, if we could have divided up the stuff we have to talk about today,
yep,
we would have had 2 shows, but instead we've got 1 show. First off, there's a lot to get to. First off, Reds and Rains and Reds. I think that's what it is. June 24th. Go to the Cincy Reigns at Cincy Reigns Twitter account. The links are there. Get your tickets. $5 from every purchase goes to Cincy Reigns, and join us because we are going to make it a Bearcat Journal outing. We're going to stop by the Holy Grail. Maybe talk to it's a 4:10 game. So maybe talk with Jimmy and our folks at the Holy Grail. Maybe try to rustle up a little in-house live show that afternoon, and everybody can come down. We'll have special guests. I'm speaking out of turn on this because I don't know, but that's what I'm working on. So either way, we're going to be at the Grail before the game. We'll be at the game 4:10 first pitch, and come hang out. It should be an awesome time. Should be a great day, and you can support Cincy Reigns, and that's what we should do. It's the right thing to do. $5 from every ticket to Cincy Reigns. A pair of football commits.
Here's that link. I did pull it up.
Okay,
there it is. So right there, Cincy Reigns Collective, etc.
A pair of football commits. First off, they get BYU defensive back transfer George Udo. He is a grad transfer, 4 years of experience at BYU. Gives them safety depth. And I think that is clearly something the staff has been wanting to address. This gives them the opportunity to answer at least one of those questions that we have kind of talked about on the roster in terms of could add a tight end, could add some strength and development to the defensive line on the edge, could add maybe tackle, which they did last week, and then safety was one of those positions we talked about. He's played a lot of games at Utah, doesn't have a lot of big numbers. I wonder how much of this is like maybe getting a guy that you can count on as a guy that's played a bunch of special teams and a guy that's kind of been versatile and comes in and gives you kind of a plug and play piece in a couple different areas.
13 games last year, 13 total tackles, 1 pass breakup, 37 games total, and 44 tackles, 24 solo, 3 sacks, 2 pass breakups for his career. That all comes courtesy of Mick's article. But yeah, I mean, that is the 20th portal edition for the Bearcats, and it's not a bad thing for them to have depth, especially at this position where you lost the guy for the rest of his career for a neck injury.
And you had Brendel Smith transfer. So
That's
yeah,
true.
safety depth. Like you feel pretty good, I think, with threats and with DJ Taylor. Yeah, DJ Taylor, Jordan Young and DJ Taylor gets me. So that's DJ Taylor and then Taj Ward. But I'm sure you'd like another body or 2 back there. So this is a good get on that front. And then they also went out and got a young guy, Kyrie Moiston from Virginia Tech. Big boy. Didn't play
6'4"
a lot for Virginia Tech this year.
6'4", 238. Yeah.
One of those, they've been looking for the next Maije since Maije graduated. So potentially a guy that gives you somebody in that outside edge rushing spot, probably not, just from talking to some people, probably not like a guy that they think is going to jump to the top of the roster this year. But guess what? You could lose Corleone after this year. You're going to lose Briggs. You're going to lose Van. Like you're going to get a complete turnover
Overhaul.
almost of that defensive line coming a year from now. So pretty smart to get a guy that has 4 years of eligibility and can come in and continue to help build up the strength and the depth on that defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about how deep that line is, but to your point, you're certainly going to lose some pieces next year, and people are going to be. You never know what happens with the transfer portal in that regard. So, yeah, this definitely doesn't hurt for them to bring a guy in, let him see what the new culture is like here, and you got a lot of years eligible if he is a guy who sticks around. So I absolutely love this move, and I see nothing wrong with bringing in a guy at depth, especially at that edge spot where, Dave talked about it last night, that one of the spots that he's always okay with them adding on to is edge, and here you go.
I know they also, those weren't the only two official visitors this past weekend and early this week. So I'm at least monitoring one more situation, maybe another, but we'll keep an eye on that. So that's kind of the football recruiting thing. Basketball recruiting, a name popped up today in Julian Phillips. First off, there's a lot of conflicting stuff on Julian Phillips on whether or not he stays in the draft. He was at Tennessee last year, hybrid 3-4, more of a 4, but has some ability to play the 3, even though he's not a guy that shoots it at a high level. Right now, 24/7 has him as the number 6 transfer in the portal. He has entered the portal, but he's also still in the NBA draft. The mocks and the kind of power rankings I've seen, late 20s, early 30s, which is into the first round, which is guaranteed contracts. Beginning of the second round, which gets into two-way deals, developmental deals. But those guys now all the way back to almost 40 or so are getting guaranteed money. So if he comes back into, just from kind of asking around today, if he does come back to college and he enters the portal, I do think Cincinnati is in a decent spot. He played at Link Year Prep, Wes Miller's best friend. I do want to correct one thing there. The guy that Wes Miller is close friends with doesn't coach Link Year Prep. He runs Link Year Prep. He's like the director of the organization. It's not the coach. Didn't want to clear that up. But my question would be, where's the money coming from?
Where's the roster spot coming from?
I don't worry about that. I don't worry about that. Roster spots, that's on the coaching staff. If they take a kid, they know what they're going to do. That's not
my only concern, even if you made room for him, and I think we all have a pretty good idea as to where that may come from.
You might think you have a good idea. We don't
know. Fine.
We thought Micah for sure was coming back, and then Micah was gone, and Aziz is now the 13th player on the roster. I don't assume anything.
The only thing that concerns me with the move is if he does come in, I'm still concerned about point guard.
At that point, I don't care. You're so good at 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't get the ball across half court, throw it to somebody else, go stand in the corner.
Okay.
Just take the ball out of if the point guard is bad, just take the ball out of his hands. Okay. Dribble, pass, go stand in the corner.
I'm not even worried about that. I'm just nervous about if either of them goes down. It's not about good or bad. It's just
you're going to give yourself an ulcer if you worry about what might somebody might have an injury. Okay.
When you only have two.
You have two. That's more than one. It's more than zero.
You're the worst.
I'm just saying, like, if you're constantly worried about worst case scenario.
Data and Jizzle better have top-notch conditioning. Be ready for 40 minutes a game, fellas. Because if either one of you goes down, you're going to have to run the whole game.
Yeah, it's what it is. It's basketball. Basketball players play basketball. Like, it will be. There's nothing much you can do. And maybe they add another guard. Still,
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe
we get 9 new guys for next year.
Jesus.
But if you add the number 6 transfer guy in the country, I'm not bitching. I'm not using this space to bitch about point guard.
Here's my question though: is he the number 6 now, as things currently exist? Now that guys have come out of the portal, because like Aziz,
he was the number 6 overall transfer in the portal,
including Aziz at 4.
Player. Aziz was 17.
Oh,
the 17th ranked player.
Somebody had him at 4.
That might have been the remaining 4th best remaining player. 24/7 ranks all the guys in the portal.
All right.
Julian Phillips is 6th of all the guys that have entered the portal all year.
Okay.
Aziz was 17th.
Yeah, where is that money coming from? That's a great question.
Right. That's what I'm. Let's not pretend that Aziz, Seamus, CJ, and Jamil were like a bargain basement transfer portal haul.
Weiler.
Pro camps. But let's not pretend that was like they did that at the discount shop. They weren't at the thrift store getting those 4 guys. You had Julian Phillips ain't taken under $750,000 because and I say that because I say, like, in the NBA right now, that the two-way contracts, that whole world has expanded. There's more of them, and they are guaranteed $700,000. Julian Phillips is projected late first round, early second round. He would get a two-way contract for $700,000. So if he comes back to college, you know what he's expecting? At least $700,000. We do a good job of crowdsourcing here. I don't think we can get $700,000.
We ain't got it like that.
I worry about that more than I worry about the roster stuff. Like, that's on the staff to figure out. If they take the kid, they know what they're doing. The money, that's a lot of money. It's going to be a lot of money to get a guy like Julian Phillips. Do we even get into this? Like, I think it's going to take. Okay.
And because I say that because I don't want to talk very long about it. I don't want to do a whole show on it. And if there's nothing else that happens tomorrow, then you're traveling tomorrow.
I'm traveling tomorrow. I should be in Memphis. I'm going to EYBL. How about that, everybody? I'm going to be on the road in an AAU event Saturday and Sunday. Now, I don't know. I'm not going to be there entirely long because I got to go pick up my kid from Nashville and come back home on Monday. But I am going to be there for some games on Saturday, at least the morning session on Sunday. So I will get to see, Jace Richardson. I should get to check out Tyler McKinley. There'll be a decent number of kids that I get to see Saturday and Sunday at the EYBL in Memphis.
And maybe you see a kid who jumps out of the gym, much like Flory did last year, blows everyone's socks off, and now you have a new name to talk about that you didn't have.
Yeah, probably. Well, the problem with that is Flory was at the first event of the spring last year. Before, now we're Memorial Day weekend is the last event of the spring. If there's anybody that jumps out like that, especially on the EYBL where everybody's been at, this is the 4th EYBL event. So I'm not expecting anything crazy surprising, but I need to get back out on the road and get my brain back into
work mode,
talent evaluation, that stuff. So yeah, headed to Memphis. We'll see about tomorrow night. I'm staying on Beale Street, so I might just, might be out at the bars going wild all night on Beale Street instead, and then in the gym at 8 a.m. Bob Huggins style. I'm kidding.
Make sure that's the only thing that resembles Bob Huggins.
Yeah. And Mike, speaking of Mike Bone, it started to become very clear over the past couple days that the Mike Bone era was coming to an end at Cincinnati, regardless of whether USC threw him a lifeline or not. The things were stacking. So Title IX investigation in 2019. There was a foundation, the UC Foundation investigation into Mike Bone in 2020 that went right up to like 3 weeks before he left for USC. This is now the problem with like that style of leadership. Big, loud, boisterous. You're going to say stuff that gets you in trouble. You're going to do stuff that isn't going to be liked by everyone that you're around when that's your style constantly. He was like that at Cincinnati. He was clearly like that at USC. And now I think it's pretty safe to say we've seen the end of Mike Bone working in college athletics.
Whether that may be true or not, and people have caught lifelines for worse things, which is bananas. But in any case, I think this makes you appreciate.
I'm not saying he's done working ever. I'm saying he won't be an athletic director again.
No,
I would be shocked at that.
I'm not gonna make a bet one way or the other on it, but
I would.
I guess I just wouldn't be surprised. Nothing surprises me anymore. What people get away with.
Mike Bone went from UC to USC with this stuff on his tail.
Just saying.
Yeah. You have
I
a
think
point there.
I think that this makes you appreciate everything that John Cunningham is and does for this university at this point. How careful and calculated he is. How quiet and I don't want to say
I don't like that part.
Well, of course you don't. I mean, it's not good for business. I get that. But I just mean like he has a shield up for a good reason. And for whether you think that's a good thing, whether you think it's a bad thing, it is what it is at this point. And right now, I think that you're sitting in a much better place with John Cunningham at the helm than if Bone was still here making the same mistakes that he made at USC. And all of this coming to light now as you're getting ready to go into the Big 12. Can you imagine? As we're getting ready to go into the Big 12, we have to dismiss the AD?
Yeah. And hire somebody new and start over and, not great. Not great. Also, finally, baseball loses in the losers bracket. They were the first team eliminated from the American Athletic Conference tournament. And guess what, Aaron? That's it. But that's all, folks. The Cincinnati Bearcats will not have an athletic program that ever plays another game as a member of the American Athletic Conference. It's over. It's done.
Or wears Under Armour again.
Huh?
There will not be another Bearcats team that wears Under Armour again.
I
I know you don't, but some of us do.
The American Athletic, again, I had some people say today, like, the American Athletic Conference is pretty good to UC. I don't know why you hate them so much.
No, UC was good to the AAC.
There you go. The American wasn't good to UC.
They cracked the code. They figured out how to make something out of $5 million. They did what nobody else could figure out. Houston figured out basketball, I guess. And
UCF did football.
I say that mainly to point out the fact that who knows what Kelvin Sampson was doing down there. Memphis, did they figure it out? Again, we know Penny had some infractions, and I think that's honestly probably the tip of the iceberg. But UCF, I think, did it about as clean as Cincinnati did.
Right.
So I think that of all the schools graduating out of the AAC, all three of them, I think that I think that Cincinnati and UCF have a leg up on how to handle their money properly and get fans to the games.
Yeah. For me, it's more, look, why did I dislike the American? Because it was bad for business. People didn't give a shit. When you've got a Saturday and we have to spend all week talking about a trip to Greenville to play ECU, or Navy's coming in to Nippert Stadium, or you got to go to Tulsa on on Black Friday at 8:00 at night. Like, nobody gave a shit about any of that. Nobody cared. And it was bad from a content standpoint because it was boring. It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't something that fans were charged up for. I don't say it to like, oh, it's the cool thing to do to say the AAC sucks. No, I say it because I ran a business covering the American Athletic Conference. And you know what? Much like UC football and basketball for most of their time in the league, we were the only thing in this world that had success, that survived, that thrived in this setting. So, hell yeah, I'm excited to go to the Big 12.
Chad, do you know what our most viewed video ever on the YouTube channel is?
Bearcats accepted into the Big 12.
Nope.
Okay, what?
By a landslide, our biggest interview ever is Coach Luke Fickell addressing the press following a 31-24 loss at Arkansas. That video, 7.6 thousand views. That's our biggest viewed video ever. The next highest is Scott Satterfield's exclusive interview taking the job at UC with 5.2. After that, we don't have another video cracking 2,000. Why do I point that out? It's to say that Power 5 gives a shit.
Right. You know, most of those people watching that Scott Satterfield interview were Louisville fans.
Big 12 fans.
Right. Like, well, Big 12, but Louisville, like, Power 5. It matters.
They care.
There are fan bases that care.
They care.
You're going to Annapolis, Maryland, and playing in front of 1,600, like 1,700, 2,000 people.
I can tell you that the people watching the Arkansas video weren't largely Cincinnati fans.
Right. It matters because it matters. Like, it matters to the people that UC is joining a conference with. The conference that they're leaving, there were too many people that didn't care. And that's why I am happy to be moving on up to the top. Deluxe apartment in the sky. Is that too old for you? That's the nightcap. Brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken. Right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See it.